How are you doing there? Good. I'll just wait till you return back. Okay, so we're going to turn on the YouTube and the Zoom. Yeah. Okay, see people on the screen or not? We'll find out. Only YouTube tonight. Okay, so we don't know who's tuning in. When we have Zoom, we know who's tuning in. Let's begin on page 2 with a beautiful poem, Yud He Vav He. If you look at the first letters of each paragraph, that's the 4-letter name of God, which can't be pronounced. And here Rabbi Moshe Azikri created an elongation of each of the first letters into a beautiful poem. And it got attached to Kabbalat Shabbat, to the receiving of Shabbos service, but it was independent of it. Here's a beautiful tune, you know it, it's an oldie but a goodie coming up on the charts. Let's see, next week we'll maybe move up one. Yedid nefesh av harachaman b'shoch avdecha el retzonecha yarutz avdecha kemo ayal yishtachave el emul adorecha yerav lo yedidutecha minofet tzuf how splendid is your light, which worlds do reflect. My soul is worn from craving for your love's delight. Please, good God, do heal her and show her your face, so my soul can see you and bathe in your grace. Then she will find strength and healing in the sight. Her joy will be complete then, eternal her delight. Vatigyemna rachamecha v'chusana al ben ahuvecha ki ze kama נחשפתי לראות מהרה בתפארת עוזך. Ele chamda libi vechusana ve'al titalam. Oh, help my brother spread your canopy of peace, enfold all human beings, give all pain surcease. Your presence on this earth plane do make known to us, and we shall respond with song and with dance. Rush, my love, be quick, the time for love is now. Let your gentle favor grace us as of old. I invite you up as we do Hadlakat Neirot. Come forward. I won't bite, I promise. Come. I only bite when I'm invited to. Holy One of blessing, your presence fills creation. Your presence fills creation. Oh, your presence fills creation. Holy One of blessing, your presence fills creation. Your presence fills creation. Oh, your presence fills creation. We take in the light to join with the light of our souls. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Eloheinu melech haolam, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Shabbos, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. We can return to our seats and we'll turn to page 2. They're all wobbly. There are 7 songs in Kabbalat Shabbat, and even know each one is for each day of the week, and it gives an opportunity to do Cheshbon HaShavua, going over the week, thinking about what you've done and where you are today, and to take all the wonderful things that happened to you this week. And I hope some wonderful things happen for you. Could be small stuff, could be big stuff, but you bring that into Shabbos. And all the obstacles, the things that you stumbled over, leave them. You'll have more, don't worry. If you're worried about that, there'll be more stumbling in your life. But on Shabbos, we sort of leave that out. We don't carry that load. Because Shabbos is what? A day of freedom. It's one of the reasons for Shabbat is Zeicha Yetziat Mitzrayim, right? Remembering that we left Egypt. And the other reason is because it is the act of creation we celebrate. That on Shabbat, the acts of creation stop. So that's why it's called Shabbat. Shabbat means to stop. In modern Hebrew, you do a shvita, it's a strike, right? Shabbat is basically a let it go time. One other many rabbis said it's also a reminder, me'ein olam haba, as if you are in a redeemed world. So it's an as if imaginative, marvelous invention to make Shabbos a day of rest, to make Shabbos a day of community, to make Shabbos a day of study, to make Shabbos a day and a long Shabbos to have an afternoon nap, right? Take a walk. And hopefully be with family and friends in Shabbat to celebrate together. So the first psalm on page 3, you look at the chart that's there. It's also one of the aspects of the Kabbalistic tree of life. Lechu neranena l'Adonai, nahariya letzur yishenu, nikad mafana betoda bizmirot, nariya lo. Ki gadol Adonai, umelech gadol kol Elohim, Asher biyado mechkerei haaretz v'toafot harim lo. Ay rai rai ri rai rai, ay rai rai ri rai rai, ay rai rai ri rai rai rai, ay ri rai rai, ay rai rai ri rai rai, ay rai rai ri rai rai, ay rai rai ri rai rai rai, ay rai. Ay, ri, rai, 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 ri, rai, rai, ay, ri, rai, 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 ay, ri, rai, rai, ay, rai, ri, rai, rai, ay, rai, ri, rai, rai, ay, ri, rai, rai, ay, rai, rai. On page 4, a beautiful little passage from Abraham Joshua Heschel. If you haven't read his book, The Sabbath, don't wait for the film. Okay? Then Netflix will not happen. The Sabbath is a beautiful, beautiful book explaining how Jews adore time and not space. He calls our tefillot like a cathedral. When the time we weren't allowed to build cathedrals, right? It was a long time before we were able to build shuls even. So he says, let's read together. A great pianist was once asked by an ardent admirer, how do you handle the notes as well as you do? I can't hear anybody. The artist answered, the notes I handle no better than many pianists, but the pauses between the notes, that's where the art resides. In great living, as in great music, the art may be in the pauses. Surely one of the enduring contributions which Judaism made to the art of living was the Shabbat, the pause between the notes. And it is to Shabbat we must look if we are to restore our lives the sense of serenity and sanctity, which Shabbat offers in such joyous abundance. Page 5, Psalm 96, and we're talking now about Monday. Shiru ladonai shir chadash, shiru ladonai kol haaretz, shiru ladonai baruch shemo, pasru miyom leyom yeshuato, sapru vagoyim kevodo v'chol ha'amim. Ay 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 ki gadol Adonai, v'mehalal meyod. No rahu al kol Elohim, ki kol Elohe amim elili va'adonai shamayim ma'asa hod ve'hadar lefanav oz ve'tiferet be'mikdasho havul Adonai mishbechot amim havul Adonai kavod va'oz Havul Adonai, kevod shemo, seu minecha, uvohu lechatzrotav, hayra ishtachavu l'Adonai b'hadrat kodesh, chilu mipanav kol haaretz, imru vagoyim Adonai malach, Avtikon tevel ba'aletimot, yadine amim b'meisharim, yismechu shamayim b'tagel haaretz, yiramayam umelo, yalos adai, b'chol Asher Boaz Yiranenu Kol Hatzeyovan Lifnei Adonai Hiva Lishbot Haaretz Yishbot Tevel B'Tzedek V'Ya'amim Be'emunato Ay rai 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 Ay rai 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 Ay rai rai Yaira. Hi, 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 hi. Hi, 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 hi. Hi, 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 hi. Tuesday, Psalm 97, page 6. Light is sown with the tzaddik, the just one, and simcha, gladness for those who are ethical. Yishrei lev, straight of heart. Tzaddikim, just ones, rejoice in Yah and give thanks to God's holy name, to the consciousness of Yah's uniqueness. In Hebrew, the last two. Or zaru ala tzaddik, ole yishrei lev simcha. Or zaru ala tzaddik, ole yishrei lev simcha. Simchu tzaddikim b'haya, ve'hodu lezeche kadsho. Simchu tzadikot b'haya, ve'hodu lezeche kadsho. Together. I rai rai rai, I rai rai rai, I rai 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 rai. I rai rai rai, I rai rai rai. I da 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 da. Or zarua. Good. Ole Yisrael simcha. Or zarua la tzadik. Ole Yisrael simcha. Simchu tzadikim b'haya. Ve'hodu lezeche kodsho. Simchu tzadikim b'haya. Ve'hodu lezeche kodsho. We move now to Thursday. Psalm 98. It's on page 8. Zamru ladonai b'chinor. B'chinor v'kol zibra. B'chatzotrot v'kol shofar. Ariyu lifnei hamelech Adonai. Zamru ladonai b'chinor. B'chinor v'kol zimra. B'chatzotrot v'kol shofar. Ariyu lifnei hamelech Adonai. Eram hayamu molo. Tevel v'yoshvei Niharot Yimchahu Chaf Yachad Harim Yeranenu. Let the sea roar and all that it contains, the world and they that dwell in it. Let the rivers clap their hands and all the mountains sing for joy before Yah. Yah comes to judge the earth. God will judge the world with righteousness and the peoples with equity. Lifnei Adonai kival lishmot haaretz. Yishpot tevel b'tzedek, v'yamim b'meisharim. Thursday, Psalm 99, page 9. Just look at the translation a little bit of what we could translate. Romimu, if you look at the last 3 lines. Romimu, raise Yah. We use Yah, which is a contraction of the Yud Hey Vav Vav Hey name, which can't be pronounced. You're familiar with the word, right? Hallelujah. Yeah. Anafnu nevarech. Yeah. So this is something that was made up just, recently. It's been around for. So it says, raise Yah who guides us. Probably you've never heard that translation. Who guides us, not our God, but who guides us. And worship at Yah's holy hill. For Yah who guides us is unique and holy. Romemu Yah Eloheinu, Ishtachavu lehar kodsho, Ki kadosh, kadosh Adonai Eloheinu, Romemu Adonai Eloheinu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu, Vehishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu, Vehishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Yah Eloheinu. Ki kadosh Yah Eloheinu. Excuse me, a residual cough. from a summer cold. Mizmor David, page 10, Psalm 29. Mizmor David, Havul Adonai b'nei Elim, Havul Adonai, Kavod va'oz, Havul Adonai kivod shebo, Zachavu Adonai be'adat kodesh, Kol Adonai al hamayim, el hakavod irim, al mayim. Amayim Rabim, Kol Yabakoa, Kol Adar Bihadar, Kol Adonai Shover Arazim, Shaber Adonai Razei Avadon, V'yar Kidei Mekimo Egel, Levanon B'Sirion Kemo Berepim, Kol Adonai, Chotzer Lavotesh, Kol Adonai, Yachil Midbar, Yachil Adonai Midbar Kadesh, Kol Adonai Yechol El Ayalot, Ve'yachasov Ye'arot Ve'hekalo Kulo, Omer Kavod, Adonai La Mabul, Yashav, Ve'yeshev Adonai Melech le'olam, Adonai os v'yamo yitet, Adonai yevorech et amo b'shalom. Ay rai rai rai, ay rai 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 rai, ay rai rai rai, ay rai rai rai. The Chadudi, page 12. The Chadudi, of course, it's a beautiful poem. If you look at the first 4 stanzas, you notice that the name of the author is there. Shlomo. Shin, Lamed, Mem, and you turn the page. Hey, Shlomo. That's why many poems were written in the medieval period. It was written by putting the name of the writer into the piyut, into this liturgical poem. And the wonderful translation here, I always remind people to look at this translation of L'Chadodi. It's different than perhaps ones that you know. It says, come, my friend, to greet the bride, that's the same, to welcome Pnei Shabbat Kabbalat, the many faces of Shabbat. Nu, vos meitus, what is it? What does it mean? It means that everybody will receive Shabbat in their own way. And everyone will observe Shabbat in their own way. So there's no uniform way. There are many faces of Shabbat. Pnei Shabbat. Excuse me. I die, 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 I die, 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 I die, 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 I'm the die, 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 I die, 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 I die, 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 I die, 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 I die, 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 die. I die, 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 I die, 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 I die, 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 I die, 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 I die, 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 I die, 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 I die, 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 I die, 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 I die, 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 die. Everybody. I die, 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 die. Lecha dodi lekrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi lekrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Shamor v'zochor urechat ishmiyanu, meyuchat Adonai echad, echad shemu letiferet veletila. I die. I die. Lecha dodi lekrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi lekrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Lekrat Shabbat, like you mean it. V'hi mekor רחה מראש מקדם ניסוך סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה היי ריי 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 היי ריי 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 לך הדודי לקראת קהלה הנה שבת נקבלה לך הדודי לקראת קהלה הנה שבת נקבלה מקדש מלך קומי ציי מתוך אפיך רב לשבת הבך והוא יחמול חמלה ריי 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 בוש ריי 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 turn the page לך הדודי לקראת קהלה הנה שבת נקבלה לך הדודי לקראת קהלה הנה שבת נקבלה התנערי קומי לפשי בגדי תפת עמי ועל יד בן ישי הלך בי קרבו אל נפשי נפשי גאלה היי ריי 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 היי ריי 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 לך הדודי לקראת קהלה הנה שבת נקבלה לך הדודי לקראת קהלה הנה שבת נקבלה התעוררי קיבה אורך יורי אורי אורי דברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה היי ריי 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 היי ריי 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 לך הדודי עד קהלה הנה שבת נקבלה לך הדודי לקראת קהלה הנה שבת נקבלה לא תבושי ולא תקלמי מה תשתוכחי ומה תמי בך יכסו עניי ונבנתה עיר על תילה היי ריי 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 היי ריי 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 לך הדוד page 14 לקראת קהלה הנה שבת נקבלה לך הדודי לקראת קהלה הנה שבת נקבלה והיולם שיסה עושייך ורחקו כל מרעייך יסיס עלייך אלו כבשות חתן על קהלה היי ריי 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 היי ריי 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 לך הדודי לקראת קהלה הנה שבת נקבלה לך הדודי לקראת קהלה הנה שבת נקבלה ימין ושמאל תפרוצי ואת אדוני הריצי על יד איש הן פרצי ונשמחה ונגלה היי ריי 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 היי ריי 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 היי ריי 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 let's preach Shabbat היי ריי 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 join me היי ריי 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 רב נרי ריי ריי היי ריי 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 היי ריי 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 Nine 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 I nine 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 I nine 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 I da di da da I da 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 I la 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 I da 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 I da di da da he I da 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 I da 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 oh I da 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 לך הדודי לקראת קהלה הנה שבת נקבלה לך הדודי לקראת קהלה הנה שבת נקבלה בואי בשלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצלה, תוך אמונה המסגולה, בואו יחלה, בואו יחלה, היי ריי 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 ריי, היי ריי 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 ריי, לך דודי לקראת קהלה, הנה שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת קהלה, והנה שבת נקבלה. היי ריי 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 ריי, 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 היי ריי 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 ריי, היי ריי 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 ריי. לך דודי לקראת קהלה, הנה שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת קהלה, הנה שבת נקבלה. On page 15, we have the Psalm for the Shabbat. And this will conclude this one and the sister Psalm 90 on page 16. It's called the sister Psalm. Shabbat is considered to be, the Shekhinah, right? The indwelling presence. Sometimes people call it the feminine aspect, Shekhinah. And the queen, it's a queen. So a queen doesn't walk by herself. She always has somebody accompanying her. So Psalm 93 accompanies Psalm 92. That's how it works. Mizmor shir, Mizmor shir, leyom HaShabbat. Mizmor shir, you're a tough crowd. Mizmor shir, leyom HaShabbat. Tov lehodot laya, ולזמר לשמך עליון, להגיד בבוקר חסדך ויעמודך בלילות, עלי אסון ועלי נהר, עלי היגיון בכינור, כי שימחתני יא בפניך במעשה ידיך Arane, ay, rai, rai, arari, rai, 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 ay, rai, 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 ay, rai. Gonna put little prods under your seats. Ay, rai, rai, ay, rai, 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 rai. The words are easy. Ay, rai, 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 ay, rai, 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 ay, rai, rai, ay, rai, 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 rai. The righteous shall flourish like the palm tree. They shall grow like a cedar in Lebanon. Planted in the house of Yah, they shall flourish in the courts of our God. They will still bring forth fruit in old age. They'll be juicy and rich with sap. To declare that Yah is upright, my rock, in whom there is no falsehood or wickedness. Tzadik katamar yifrach, ki erez balvanot yizke, shetuli bebeit Adonai, bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu, o yenuvot, beseva, desheinim verananim yeyu, lehagid, Ki yashar Adonai, Suri velo avlatabo. The middle of page 16. Amikolot ma'im rabim, adirim mishmereyam, adirim mishmereyom, adir b'maharom Adonai, edotecha. נאמרו מאוד לביתך נא בקודש אדוני לאורך ימים אדוני לאורך ימים. Those who are in mourning or commemorating a yahrzeit, the mourner's Kaddish is on page 17. Please respond to those who are saying Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. V'yalma divra chilutei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chayechon u'v'yomechon v'chayei l'chol bet Yisrael Bagala Vizman Kari Vimru. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevorach Violam Ulmeul Maya. Yitparach Vishtabach Vitpoar Vitrumam Vitnase. Vitadar Vitale Vitalal Shemei de Kucha. Brichu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush bechata v'nechemata. Tamiran v'alma v'yimru. Yesh lo maraba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru. Ose shalom bimromav hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'yimru. Amen. You may be seated. My friends, before we do Mariv, just wanted to say a few words about our parsha this week. It's Parshat Re'eh. It's in the book of Deuteronomy. Starts with chapter 11. We're getting close to the end of the reading, and we'll be interrupted by Rosh Hashanah, which will have its own reading and comes down on Shabbat this year, Rosh Hashanah. And then between Rosh Hashanah and Kippur, we'll do one more parsha, and then we won't do the last one until when? Come on, you know this, yes. Simchas Torah, beautiful. That's what we do in Simchas Torah. What do we do in Simchas Torah? Anybody know? What do we do in Simchas Torah? Excuse me? We end the Torah, and then what do we do right away? We begin again. Okay? If you come here for Simchas Torah, we'll be very joyous, we'll dance and sing, and then basically we'll finish the Torah and start the Torah again. And then the following week will be Breshit once again. So the question I've always been asked by students is, why do you have to read the same thing every year? We know the ending. Moshe is not going to make it, right? He's not going to make it. And my understanding of it is this. We call the Torah the tree of life, Eitz Chaim, right? Eitz Chaim, you may have heard that term, right? We put the Torah away, we sing Eitz Chaim, you may have heard that. So what's a tree? How does a tree grow? It doesn't grow only tall, it also grows wide. And it grows wide, that's how you can tell how old the tree is. When you cut it down, there are rings. So every season there's a bit of growth. So the kids understand that, I see, every year you're adding to the growth of that tree by reading it again and again. Yes. And I say, why? So he asks the next question, the bright kid. He says, well, why do you need a tree so wide? Skinny tree's a nice tree too. And I say because this tree has to hold the branches of everyone who creates a life of Torah and study. Everyone. There isn't one trunk that does it for everybody. There are branches. And the branches are now so voluminous that there are people on this side with the branches and that side who don't agree about anything except one thing. The source for their disagreement is in the Torah. So that's one reason you need a very wide tree to hold all of these branches. And each of you is a branch in that tree, each of you. So this Parsha, Re'eh, is a miscellany. It's a miscellany. As you know, the book of Devarim with Deuteronomy is considered to be the last oration of Moses, the recapitulation of the first 4 books. And we find often, I wouldn't say discrepancies, but things that are said in Deuteronomy that either expand on what happened before. This, of course, as we know, because Deuteronomy is a much later book, 8th century, perhaps BCE, and it stood on its own and may have been what was called Torah, maybe. But over the years, accumulated, created, and became part of the 5 books. So originally there were only 4 books, and maybe each of them had their own scroll. We don't know exactly, but eventually it became one big scroll that we use, Jews use around the entire world. There is no Jewish community in the world that sees itself as Jews that does not have a Sefer Torah, does not have a scroll of the Torah, at least one. And many congregations, thank God, have more than one. So what's in this parsha? Well, it has the kosher laws again. It talks about centralized worship. Does not mention Yerushalayim. There's no mention of Yerushalayim in the entire Torah. It's Makom Asher Yivchar Bo, the place that God will choose, which leads to all kinds of interesting interpretation. It talks about tithes, taking tithes, maser, and giving it to various people who need it. The 1 year will be for the widows and orphans, 1 year for the The Levites who have no property, we support them. Talks about Shemitah again, the resting of on the seventh year, not to plant your fields. It talks about prophecy and false prophecy. If a false prophet comes up, it talks about not drinking blood. And even if you're a hunter and you hunt kosher animals, what are kosher animals that are not domesticated? Anybody know? Deer. What else? Buffalo. Believe it or not, bison meat you can get at the butchery and harvestry, and when those animals are killed, the obligation is to pour the blood out. We see the drinking of blood as anathema because we believe the blood is lifeless. Put it back into the ground. Then you have Passover sacrifice again. There's a very strange passage about a subverted city. Very difficult one to understand, where if a town becomes, if you will, an apostate town, that someone has come and led the people astray, it's a very harsh judgment. That town has to be destroyed. And everything that was in it has to be destroyed. It talks about slavery. It talks about getting rid of idolatry. It talks about two mountains, Ebal and Gerizim, that when they enter the land, there will be this multimedia idea of good and evil. One mountain will have 6 of the tribes represented, the other mountain another 6, and people will walk through it, and they will be told that certain things are blessings and certain things are curses. Now, the reason that I mention that is because the first line, the opening, has been a wonderful opportunity for drashot, for sermons, for years and years and years, thousands of years. And the reason is because the first word is look and see. Whereas all the time in the Torah we hear what? What do we hear? What? Shema. You may have heard that, right? Shema, listen, observe, but it means more. Shema means to observe, to obey. So the question always is this a new kind of revelation that you have to see, you have to look? And then immediately the question comes up, it says re'eh, and then it has the plural before you. Look what's before you in the plural, lifnechem, not lifanecha, which would be the singular. So it raises all kinds of questions. Did God have bad grammar, right? Or not? Or is there a specific reason for this? So one of the reasons for it, which I think is a very potent one, is God says in the Torah, I should say Moshe says in the name of God, because God doesn't write anything, he doesn't body, right? People often forget that. I think it's some guy up there, writing it all down. Moshe is the inspired one who writes it. And what it says, look before you, the plural, and you'll see a blessing and you'll see a curse, and you'll have to make a choice between the blessing and cursing. So that's very important, right? All of Judaism is based upon making choices. We're not automatons. We have options. And believe me, I've met people taking the wrong options. I'd say wrong, taking the curse option rather than the blessed option. So the rabbis ask, if it says look in the singular, and then it talks about the community that you're in, lifnechem, in front of you, what does that mean? It means that the individual in the community still has a choice to make. Still has a choice to make. Which way to go? Later on, Moshe will say, you have a choice of life and death, choose life. Right? You may have heard that term, choose life. And it's really an important thing to understand. What is our role as individuals in the community? What is it? Do we get swallowed up in the community? Swallowed up, and we no longer have our own choice, because if the community goes here, you're going to follow it. So this is the balance between the individual and the community. And in our tradition, we really want you to maintain your individuality. Because if you don't bring yourself to a community you're not really helping that community. You have to bring yourself to it. And that means you may have arguments with the community. You'll bring them up, you'll discuss them. You'll be able to maybe convince the community they're going in the wrong way. But the bottom line is to bring your full self into a community. And that's the balance that we still have. Joining a community means that you give something up. We have services at 6, except for those who came late. We have services at 6, right? So you have to give up wanting to come at 7 if you want to be part of this community. There's another community starts at 7. It's okay. Everybody's the choices they can make. But any community, as you know, or in work, if you have a team, right? Many of you may work in teams at work. What do? You have to give something up in order to be part of the team. And you may not like it, but you know that the power of the team is important to you as well. So if you want to join that community, you do give certain things. And that's really a choice to make. And many people make that choice to join a community, and many people do not make that choice to join. And whether it's good or bad, blessing or curse, they're both the ends of the same stick, blessing and curse. Sometimes what you think you're blessing somebody with might turn out to be a curse for that person. No one knows, right? Your intention may be the best, and then it turns out that it doesn't wind up the best for that person. So this is really, I think, a beautiful parsha, a beautiful idea about the individual and the community. So I urge all of you who are part of our community to bring yourself to it. Don't bring a mask. Don't bring what you think you ought to be. That's very important. A lot of people live that way, by the way, right? I ought to be this. I ought to be that. No, you're required to be you. You can't be anybody else. And that's all you can bring is you. So I hope that as we approach the new year, this week we'll be opening the month of Elul, the last month of the Jewish year, meaning we're going to hear the shofar every day to get us ready for what? Buddy? Oh, Rosh Hashanah. Good. Some of you remember Rosh Hashanah from last week. Good. Right. I'm sure some of you do. But it brings us to Rosh Hashanah. And then we go back to Shema here. And the hearing of the shofar is supposed to arouse us, to wake us up. As you know, many people are conscious, but they're not awake. Have you noticed that? You may have encountered people like that. They're conscious, but they're dead. They're not alive to life. They're not alive to the fact that they have great power within them. And that's something that we have to encourage, is to encourage the power that we have within us. And then we will benefit as a community. We will benefit by that, by having people who are awake. And I trust that you'll take this month of Elul, which you'll hear the shofar every morning if you attend services, and wake up. Rambam, Maimonides says, wake up from your slumber. Wake up from your slumber. Because I think it's a great word, slumber. I think there are many conscious people who are slumbering, if I can use that term. So I wish you all a good Shabbos, first of all. If I don't see many of you, because I'm here only once a month, I wish you a Shana Tova. And Shana Tova means what? Anybody know what the word means? It means literally good change. Shana is from the Shanot, to change. So when you wish somebody a Shana Tova, you're saying, I hope you're changing yourself. This coming year will be good. And then at the end of Yom Kippur, what do we say to people? Gemar Tov. I hope you finished good. I hope the process finished good. So keep that in mind as we get ready for those awesome days. Yamim Noraim, the awesome days. I'm going to invite you now to our Ma'ariv service, which is found on page 19. Want to urge you to say amen to blessings. And you see it's written in the book, amen, because if you don't say amen, I have to say the blessing again. The amen completes the blessing. It means I've received it. Right on, brother. If this was a black church, people would be saying, right on, brother, after each of them. And if you want to say right on, brother, absolutely, you're invited to do so. I ask you to rise if you're able to rise from Bar to Bar. the invitation to our worship tonight. Baruchu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai. They're alive. Baruch Adonai Vorach Leolam Vaed. You may be seated. The first blessing before Shema is the blessing of light. Light. Baruch, let's read it together. It's a beautiful thing. If you don't know Hebrew, learn Hebrew just for this blessing. It's really worth it. It's a beautiful, beautiful blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim b'chokhma potech she'arim ובתבונה משנה עיתים ומחליף את הזמנים ומסדר את הכוכבים במשמרותיהם ורקיע כרצונו. בורא יום ולילה, גולל אור מפני חושך וחושך מפני אור. ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. Baruch atah Adonai, Amariv Aravim. Amen. Oh, you're a tough crowd. You really are a tough crowd. So don't be afraid. This is a sanctuary. You're safe. No one's graded on their singing. It's okay. No one's graded. The second blessing is of love. Light and love. My teacher, Arthur Green, blessed, he should grow and be strong, said a beautiful thing. He said, the first blessing is light. And light is necessary for what? Anyone know on the earth? What does light do for us, sun? You scientists, any scientists? 10th grade biology, anybody remember? Photosynthesis, beautiful, right? Photosynthesis creates green, creates vegetation, creates the things that we need. Love does what? It nurtures you, right, as a person, right? Photosynthesis makes, but love completes us in a way. Love completes us. And this is about the Torah being a gift of love. Let's sing it together. Page 20, many of you know this too. Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amcha ahavta Torah u'mitzvot u'kim u'mishpatim otanu lemahadeta Al kein Adonai Eloheinu shochveinu u'komeinu nasiach bechukecha ונשמח בדברי תורותיך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו אורך ימינו ובהם נגה יומם ולילה יומם ולילה בעבדך תסיר ממנו עולמים ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. The Shema. That's on page 21. This is probably the most well known. If we didn't have the book of Deuteronomy, we would not have this. This doesn't exist in any other book. Deuteronomy. And Deuteronomy also has a version of the 10 Commandments, 10 sayings, which is slightly different from the one in Exodus. So Shema, listen. You who wrestle with God. That's what Yisrael means. God wrestles. We called our congregation God Wrestling. 1,000 people will be there every week, hoping for a tag team match or something. Right? Something. Shema, God Wrestler. The unpronounceable, the mystery of Yud He Vav He, which cannot be pronounced, which we use, unfortunately, the euphemism of Adonai, which means Lord. And there are no lords today, so it's a little bit antiquated. Eloheinu, who gods us. Don't make God into a noun. The minute you make it into a noun, what happens? You make it static. Right? That's what a noun does. Chair stays a chair. It can become a couch, but when it becomes a couch, you call it couch. But right now it's a chair. So to keep the idea of the dynamic nature of this mystery, dynamic nature comes from a very well-known story, as you all know, in the Torah, Moses and the burning bush. Okay, stops Moshe, pays attention to it, and according to many traditions in Midrashim, because he stopped and paid attention, he's a good person to lead the Jewish people. He paid attention. Most people don't; they walk right by. So God tells him to go to Egypt, etc. He doesn't want to go, which makes him even more the right person. He doesn't want to go. And then he says, what name should I tell them sent me? And the name given, anyone remember? Friend. No. Eheyeh asher eheyeh. I will be what I will be. Interesting name. I'm not static. You're not static. You're going to change from year to year, from day to day, from minute to minute. We all change. There's change. Nothing's permanent, right? So I will be what I will be, meaning when you will be what you will be, I'll still be with you. I won't leave you behind. And that is echad. This mystery is the mystery of the interconnection of all things. And as you understand, that's the way it is. Everything connects and affects everything else. And we know that in many, many ways. So we sing the Shema, and we basically try to put ourselves in that sense of unifying all the parts within ourselves. Every one of us has many different parts. And to unify that, to become, people ask me, what's Judaism? They ask the rabbi all the time, what's Judaism? I say, to create an integrated human being. Wow. And that's not easy. That's why we say the Shabbat 3 times a day to remind us that everything is integrated. Let's sing together. Shema Yisrael Avaya Eloheinu Avaya Echad Yoshev Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed Ve'ohavta et Adonai Elo B'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol Ve'hayu ha'devarim asher al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'beitecha v'lechtecha b'derech v'shochbecha uvkumecha וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וטפתם על מזוזות ביתך, ובהישאריך. The middle of page 24, a very wonderful interpretation of the second paragraph of the Shema, V'haya im shamoah, middle of the page. And everybody should read together, nice and loud. Okay, many of you have English as a first language. I know some have a second language. But most people have as a first election. Let's read it together. If I carefully follow the way I have been shown, the way of justice, mercy, and humility, serving life with the fullness of my life, then the earth will flourish with righteousness and riches. Pure rain will fall in its season. The earth will bring forth her bounty. My labors will flourish. The fragrance of life will scent the air like fine oil. Food enough for all, and all will be able to partake of it. No one will exploit another, for no other shall be separate from the one. But beware. If I follow another path, pursuing gods of narrow desire, who separate one from another in quest of power and control, then the heavens will rain poison, creation will fall ill, and I and all will soon disappear from this good earth. Therefore, I impress these words upon my heart to quell anger, bind them on my hands to stop violence. I set them before my eyes to see the one who is all. By word and by deed, I teach them. I repeat them at home and away, morning and night. I write them upon the doorpost of my home and upon my gate, that my dwelling be a haven from ignorance and delusion. That my days and the days of my people will endure forever. One generation passing righteousness and kindness to the next, all the days of the earth. Adonai Elohechem Emet. Middle of page 25, the blessing, the third blessing surrounding the Shema, the blessing of redemption. Moshe Miriam and Israel alu shira, v'simcha raba v'yamru chulam, mi chamocha, mi kamocha nedar v'kodesh, norati lo tosefelet, malchutecha rubenecha b'kayam lefnei Moshe, ze eli anu v'yamru, Adonai yimloch, ונאמר כי פדנו יעקב, ולא מי החזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גואל ישראל. Cause us, eternal our God, page 26, cause us, eternal our God, to lie down for well-being and help us arise, our ruler, to life. Spread over us the shelter of your well-being and fix in us good counsel in your presence. Save us for the sake of your name and shield us. Keep us far from enmity, illness, strife, hunger, and fear. Keep oppressors from confronting or pursuing us. Let us be covered by the shadow of your wings. For you are our protector and helper. Mercy and compassion is your rule. Guard our going out and our coming in, for life, for well-being, from this time forth and forever. Ofros aleinu sukat shelomecha, baruch atah Yah. Apore sukat shalom aleinu, v'al kol amo Yisrael, al Yerushalayim, v'al kol ha'olam, and let us say, we rise for the declaration of Shabbat, page 27. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael, et ha-Shabbat, lahasot et ha-Shabbat, לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. כששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש. The Chatzi Kaddish on page 28 is a transition. Every time you hear a Chatzi Kaddish, it's a transition from one part of the service to the next. And then we'll go into the silent meditation, starting on page 29 to page 39. Read whatever you wish to read, Hebrew, commentaries, whatever works for you. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, וילמד ברכותיה וימליך מלכותיה, בחייכות וביומכות ובחיי לכל בית ישראל, ועגלה ועגלה ובזמן קריב ויאמרו, יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם יום יומיה יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, יתברך ותרומה ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה, ברכו לעילה מכל בחטא ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דה מהירן בעלמה, ואמרו אמן. Zorgas nemen. Yiyu leratzon imrei fi vehegyon libi lifanecha Adonai tzuri v'goali. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable unto you, O Yah. Ose shalom bimromav, Yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. You're able to rise for the Aleinu on page 44. Aleinu lishabeach ladon hakol, latet gdula liyotzeh breshit, shelo asanu goy aratzot, velo savanu mishmechot adama, shelo sam chalkeinu imohem, v'goro aleinu im kol ha'olam, v'anatnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lefnei melech malchei hamlachim, Akadosh Baruch Hu. The bottom of page 45. For the sovereignty is yours, and you will reign eternally in honor. As written in your Torah, the eternal will reign forever and ever. And it is said by the prophet Zechariah, the eternal will be ruler over all the earth on that day. The eternal will be one, and God's name will be one. V'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz. Bayomahu, Yiyeh Adonai Echad, U'Shemo Echad. You may be seated. This coming week, we commemorate the yahrzeit of Estelle Abrams, Harry Bankhead, Samuel Cohn, Arthur Cohn, Matilda Diamondstein, Milton Engel, William Free, Caroline, Donald Isikoff, Liesl Kame, Marvin Kaplan, Bilha Klein, Herschel Langenthal, Olga Klimovitsky Magid, Judith Morley, Fred Rogers Nicholson, Abraham Peltzman, Esther Przarsky, Justine Esther Richter Sipser, David Sargon, Harry Mark Schrager, Esphir Shapiro, Mayor Schlesinger, Harold Sobel, Dr. L. Jerome Stein, Eugenio Toppelberg, and Grisha Zifferblatt. Any name that I've not mentioned? Aaron Przarsky, same yahrzeit? Okay. Condolences to Amy Bullock and Gail Stern and Joseph Bullock and their family on the unexpected death of Amy's sister, Ann Vulcano. We will now, if you have the opportunity to say Kaddish, if you are in mourning or have a yahrzeit, the Kaddish is found on page 48. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah v'alma nivra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei l'chol bet Yisrael v'agala v'zman kariv v'yimru Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach v'olam v'me'olmaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpoar v'yitruman v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekutsha richu ve'elam min kol birchata v'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata daviran v'alma v'yivru amen. Yehi shlom Rabbah min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru oseh shalom b'imromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'yimru amen. Blessing on page 49. Why don't you keep rising, standing if you can, and if you're here with someone, put your hand, if they don't mind, on their head. This is the blessing that parents give to kids. Put it on your wife's head, put it on whoever doesn't have a partner. Come, these two here, it's okay. Her blessing counts as much as anybody else. David, next. It's on page 49. You probably have heard it before. Yisimech Elohim ke'Ephraim u'ke'Menashe. May you be like Ephraim and Menashe. Yisimech Elohim ke'Sara Rivka Rachel v'Leah. And you shall be like Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chunecha Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May Adonai bless you and keep you. May Adonai enlighten you, be gracious to you. May Adonai's face be lifted towards you and grant you peace and tranquility. And we say, Amen. Is David here? David, can you help bring the these tables to the front? Thank you. Just that one there, and there's a thing on the chair which goes on here. Announcements will be right now. David, please go to the mic.
Well, welcome everyone. Few announcements. If you're a member, it's time to renew your membership. And if you're not a member and interested, there are postcards right outside on the table for information, or you could call the office. High holidays are only 5 weeks away. There's a bunch of programming coming up during Elul in preparation for the holidays. Next weekend, Kabbalat Shabbat will be in Griggs Park. A lot of people from the congregation show up for that with a picnic dinner, and they'll be schmoozing. And it's usually a very fun event, especially if it's a beautiful evening like tonight. There are some other events coming up, and you can find these on the TBZ website, tbzbrookline.org. So thank you.
Thank you, David. We'll be making kiddush and motzi. We can get it out of the plastic. Customary on Friday nights to use two chalot, because during the time when the children of Israel were receiving manna from heaven, they were not permitted to gather it on Shabbat. So on Friday, they would gather two portions. That's one of the reasons. And there are many other reasons as well. So everyone, come closer. We'll create the great challah chain, great challah web in a minute. But first we'll make Kiddush, which is found on page 50. If you'd like to join me, please do. Savrei Chavirai. L'chaim. Savrei Chavirai. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech olam, borei peri hagafet. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech olam, asher kiddeshanu mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho v'yavav v'ratzon hintchil lanu, zikaron lemaaseh bereshit, ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh, zecher litziat Mitzrayim, kivanu v'charta, Yotanu kidashtaim kol oamim, v'shavat kodshecha, v'yahava v'ratzon hintchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh haShabbat. Very good, you learned. Baruch atah Adonai melech olam, asher kiddeshanu mitzvotav v'tzavanu al nitilat yadayim. Let everyone be connected to the challah. Let's make the blessing for challah. Okay. Want to hold that, David? Be connected first. Okay. All right, you're connected. Yes. Using two hands at once. I know, very hard. Right. My friends, we have such bounty. We live in such luxury. We have what to eat. We have a place to sleep. We have possibility of even putting some money away for the future. And we must really, at this time, particularly, help those who don't have that. So don't feel like you're sacrificing anything. They're giving you an opportunity to do a great mitzvah. So we have to thank those people for having the possibility for us to help out. Together we say, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech olam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. So come forward and take a piece of challah. Try not to make too many crumbs on the floor. Try your best. And here goes. Come, take a piece. Don't worry. Let's go back to the plastic. I want to wish all of you a Shabbat Shalom. I'm glad you were here, and I hope to see you again. Pretty good. I'm sure you don't want. No, I'm only here once a month now. Someplace good. New Mexico. You went to Taos in Santa Fe. Wonderful. It's a beautiful place. Yeah. It's a mix of many cultures there. Come, if you haven't had a piece, please come. You had a piece? You can have another piece. It's okay. Have you had a piece of challah yet? You can't eat? You're gluten-free? We'll solve that for you. You're no longer gluten. Oh, no. Many more people do that now. And there are gluten-free challahs now. You know, you make some of your own. Oh, that's great. Where are you from? Oh, Williamstown. Rabbi, I know the name. Yes, he used to be down in this area. Oh, he sent you. Good. Seth was a graduate of the rabbinical school here in and where are you from? You live in Newton. That's where I live. Yeah, it's a big, nice town. Yeah, a little suburban in some areas, but not as suburban as others. Right. And have you been here before? Oh, good. Because I'm only here once a month. It's a different kind of service we like. During the regular, we have a lot of.
Okay. All right, see ya. All right, Red Moss. All right,
Even this world is no wind. I will show up. David, send my best to your spouse. And how is she doing? She's good. She's going through the tail up. She's going to the lawyers.